change the way we live.
It's humanity's turn now to do what many, many species before us have done.
There is a universal principle contained in every faith tradition.
There is a wealth of wisdom across the planet in all the people.
We all know the world is a mess. That's why we're here.
We have to learn to live sustainably if we are to survive as a species.
I am not an innocent bystander. I can't stand and say and point the finger at you and say it's your fault.
We really should try and change the world because the world is in a global crisis.
Physically, economically, socially, and ecologically, we have come to a stage of a tipping point.
A planet that is infinitely richer than it has ever been, but where its people are infinitely more miserable.
Information communication technologies have failed to make people happy.
Our own body, this instrument of universal intelligence, tells us, move on.
When we expand our awareness, we see so many positive options.
We have to find the ways to join hands and work together.
Unless we learn to melt the ice in the heart of man, man will have a hard time to change.
Thinking is a transformative act. Consciousness and spirituality is the manifestation of the immune system of humanity.
We're not claiming to be wise. We're saying that at least we have enough intelligence to recognize how vital it is to listen to the power of global wisdom and realize our survival as a people on this planet depends on that now.
The universe is said to be 15 billion years old, and the history of the Earth is said to be 5 billion, and the first life is said to 3.8 billion years ago. And humankind with knowledge and consciousness came on this globe approximately 10 to 20,000 years ago.
And we are a 6 billion member human family.
What the humankind has done on the globe shakes the history of Earth, which has a history of 5 billion, and it threatens not only the civilization of mankind, but the existence and survival of the Earth itself.
We are consuming 40% of the planet's photosynthesis, and this cannot go on.
We have to change the way we live. You know about this report last week about the originator of the Gaia theory, James Lovelock, who said that, we're very likely for the next 100,000 years we're heating up the Earth, so that only small groups of people in the Arctic zone will survive.
A few past centuries that Western science ascended to that priesthood which tells us our story of who we are and how our universe works. And it gave us a very depressing story of a meaningless, lifeless, purposeless universe running down to heat death.
We talk now about memes. Those particles of meaning that cluster together, that shape our value systems. We are filled with meaning. We are in a meaning-loaded world when the winds of our time are blowing belief systems and thought forms and ideas that no longer serve the human race.
We have now learned that it is very easy to melt the ice on the ground. All what we did is to live the way we do, and everything is melting. But then we have learned the very hardest ice to be melted is the one in the heart of man.
There was a method by which to manage life, by which to communicate with each other, to connect to each other correctly, like cogwheels in a machine, where anyone who changed anything changed everything else with it. And in this way, we could understand that we were all interdependent. And when the ego broke out in us, in Babylon, people didn't know what to do. And they began to evolve egoistically and forgot the ancient wisdom of how to get along and be as a family. And today we can see the results of this terrible evolution.
People are not content. In some area, quite a number of people have very miserable lives.
But world wisdom, global wisdom teaches that we can grow into a more integral intelligence, a holistic intelligence where we can feel the connectivity, experience it in our hearts. When I experience my connection with you, that I can't cut from you, that you are part of me, that I'm part of nature, in this unified space, I have to use my mind in a more higher integral intelligence. Then we become mature human beings. So our theme in bringing global wisdom to the people.
We need to adopt the ancient wisdom that sustained us before there were religions and peoples, before we began this evil civilization of ours, so we can all reunite as brothers in one big family. Because globalization, which is what we are discovering today, in it, we just see that we're all dependent on each other, tied at the core to one another.
There is a revolution going on, and it's not only inside people's head. It's not only people sitting at home and chanting. People are practicing it.
We can see that it doesn't really come from religion. It must come from something beyond that. And we'll call that a great mystery beyond language. And that's an internal secret that everyone has to find in the quiet of their own conscience.
Such spiritual truth reminds me that I am connected to all others, and that helps me in my search and my own journey.
There is no actor that acts in isolation in the world anymore. That in our intertwined interdependence and interconnectivity, that the action of one person affects us all.
When we looked down into the smallest manifestations of existence that we could find, when we looked all the way down into the quantum, into the subatomic realm, what did we find? We found a world that said, you are not separate from me.
It's a butterfly. It's a symbol from transformation. And transformation not mean bad things. It's transformation. It's something fantastic.
This is the trend. 1 million NGOs working cooperatively without having a formal structure, a name, or leadership is the biggest movement on the planet.
So we don't need any education or any kind of punishments or warnings or police or punishments or anything. But when you see how you're connected to the world, that helps you conduct yourself correctly. And this is the solution that this wisdom that appeared 5,000 years ago provides.
The only certainty there will be in our lives is change. More and more change.
I would suggest to you, if you want to do something useful, do something to bring about a connection.
And when we tap that wisdom and open up and mature, we fall into compassion and care, and that this is vital for our sustainability on the planet in the 21st century. To become one human family and live together harmoniously, flourish with sacred earth.